Okay, welcome to the September 28th Selectmen's meeting at the Village Fire Station. First, we're going to go into executive session per MRSA 1-405-6C to consider the acquisition or disposition of real estate. I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Okay. We are now in executive session at 5:01.
What would happen if we
Said no.
Okay, it's, welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting, Town of Kennebunkport. It's 6:02. We just had an executive session per MRSA 14056C to consider the acquisition or disposition of real estate, and no decisions were made. So we will open the meeting. Let's approve the prior minutes. The September 11th meeting was the combined meeting with the Budget Board, so I just let you know that we want to approve both the September 11th and the September 14th Selectmen meetings.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, okay, item number 4 is a public forum, opportunity for anyone who wants to address the Board of Selectmen with any issue that is not on the agenda. Ready? 3. Okay, anybody in the audience?
One.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Hi.
Hi, Ron.
I'm not sure if you guys are, I would like some clarification. You know, on the Post Office Street, there used to be a no parking strip. Do you know about that, past the little cafe? So anyway, there used to be no parking there, but I guess there is now. And the other day, I went to go to the post office, and a delivery truck was in the middle of the street, and nobody could get by for like 20 minutes. And a gentleman who lived there seemed to know the situation, and he said, well, those parking places didn't used to be there. And I do remember that there was a no parking strip. Is that accurate?
I don't know, but the same thing happened to me last week in
Well,
that
what I'm
same
think-
spot. But
yeah.
I don't know.
So anyway, the postmaster, because I had 20 minutes there, and Heidi Maynard was directing traffic, and we were stuck. So he said this happens twice a week, and it really was quite a mess. It was a Friday,
It
beautiful.
was a UPS truck.
No, this was delivering food for the
Oh, that I don't
Kennebunkport
know,
Inn.
yeah.
So it took up, nobody could get around, nobody, it was stuck. So I'm wondering if maybe you could reinstate the no parking strip there, or ask the Kennebunkport Inn to deliver in the front of the building, because it really was kind of a hard time for a lot of people. And if it's twice a month,
What stopped me was the UPS truck, and
Yeah.
it was a good 15 minutes.
right,
And it was backing traffic all the way back to the stop sign. So,
Right.
yep, I don't know about the parking spots, though.
well, I do remember there was no parking, so somehow when they redid the post office street, I believe that changed. So I was just thinking, maybe you should
Well,
take
we'll-
those parking places back.
Oh, we'll take a look and see what the story is.
Yeah, you can't get by it. I mean, there was
Yeah,
quite,
yeah.
and there was people familiar.
Yep.
And the second thing I wanted to mention is, last week, or at the budget meeting, Mr. Burbank stood up to share his grievances, and you said to him, whose fault is that? In sort of a rude way. I mean, it wasn't well advertised, and you, Sheila, said, don't you read the paper, just like that. And you did.
I don't recall I said it like that, but go
Well,
ahead.
you can watch it.
Same here.
And it wasn't in the paper. We checked with the town.
It was in the paper.
So someone in the town,
Was in the paper.
do you have proof of that? Because
Yeah,
they said they
I didn't
checked
bring it with me, did you? I didn't bring it with me, but it was,
for the village
it-
parcel meeting.
yes, it was in the
Seacoast?
Seacoast. And it was a big article about a week before, or a few days before, a week before.
Yeah.
Week before, I'm sorry. And it was in there, and it was a very large article, very well done. And
Yeah.
and it let people in town know what was happening, so it was in the newspaper.
So it was officially posted on the back under public notices?
It doesn't have to be posted under the public notices. This was an article in the newspaper. There's no state law that says that we have to publicly post on public notices town meeting. So it was in the, it was in the Seacoast online, Seacoast, it's online now, but then it was paper.
So it
And
was an article,
it was a
not
big article.
not a notice?
Wow, gee, anybody who reads it would say that's a notice, I
Yeah.
would think.
But still,
So, yeah.
a lot of people didn't see it, is my point. And I just felt
Well-
like he waited 2 hours to speak, and You weren't really
Well,
that friendly.
okay, so let me ask you something.
Yes.
What were we supposed to say? Because it happened 5 years ago, it's over, it's done with.
Right.
We can't go back and repost something. And we can't put it back on TV and tell people we're gonna go back in time and vote. So
Right.
what would you suggest that we have said, would have said?
I would have liked to have heard, I understand a lot of people missed that meeting because they didn't see it and it was the middle of summer.
You know how many times we have said that at meeting after meeting here?
Well, I mean, whose fault is that?
That's somebody who didn't attend the meeting, not ours.
Well, you know what I'm saying, a lot of people are still upset, and to then put the town
Okay.
hall on top is,
It's time to get past it. It's done, it's not gonna get undone, so, and it's okay that you feel that way.
Yeah.
And people have opinions, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But it's time to get past it.
And you know, I think what it is a little bit frustrating that we talk about something for months
yeah,
and all of a sudden we take a vote and people come and say, I never heard that. If you want to, you know, if you want to keep abreast of things
Yeah.
that are happening,
Yeah.
then you should watch the meetings or read the newspaper or, you know, get your information
I
from
do watch the
somewhere.
meetings, but I didn't back then.
Okay.
So
But
now I do.
That's our point.
Yeah.
We're as open as we can be.
Right. Well, I thank you for the consideration.
Okay.
Thank you, Robin. Anybody else? Yes.
I'm a newbie here. This is my first meeting. My name is George Lapointe. I'm the general manager of the Breakwater Inn and Spa.
Nice to
And I'm
meet
he-
you.
Nice to meet everyone here. Nice to meet everybody here. I'm here because I understood that I needed to be here in case there are any questions about my liquor license renewal. Is that correct?
Yes.
It's not on the agenda.
It is on the
It
agenda.
is on the agenda.
Oh, it is?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, forgive me.
Yeah, sure, it's on the agenda. It's the, it's, a matter of fact, it's
Six.
number 6 on the agenda. Yep.
Okay, I
And
apologize.
generally, we would have, it's not required that you're here, but generally, somebody, if like your first time, I would say that's a good thing to do, to come
Well, I
and,
wanted
yeah.
to advertise the Breakwater Inn and Spa.
There you go.
It's a wonderful sunset.
Am I not
No doubt
on
about
TV?
it.
Yeah, it's on,
I
it's,
I even shaved this morning.
You'll get a chance.
Thank you.
okay. Anybody else?
Melinda Anderson has her hand raised.
Who?
Melinda Anderson.
Okay. Yes, Melinda?
Yes, hi, Melinda Anderson, down in Goose Rocks, area for Route 9. This question would be for the town manager. Is it true that it was in the paper for the village parcel? I know it's kind of, you know, redundant, but at the same time, if someone is new to coming to a meeting and they didn't get the information, now is the time to inform them on the correct information. Is it true that it was in the paper?
Yeah, it's true there was a news story in the paper about a week prior to the vote. There was not a posting of a public legal notice, but it was a large news story.
Well, that makes me feel better that it's accurate, that there was not a public notification like you would normally do for a special town meeting. You make it a little different, like I know.
Well, I just
the
want
old-timers-
to clarify, Melinda, we don't normally do a legal post for a special town meeting. So that's not a
My
requirement.
point is that, my question, I called 2 town employees, and I called back in 2019 when I was, you know, really frustrated that I did not get notification, and I was not on Zoom, you know, the email and your Facebook. Since then, I've done that because I didn't realize that that was a way that you posted information, and it was not in the paper where normally we look. So I just wanted that clarified because that is important information, that the things are changing a little bit.
Well, this was 5 years ago, so it's, hasn't changed recently, I don't think.
No, but I think to Robin's point, she was speaking up for Wayne Burbank, who is one of our seniors in town, who was saying that he didn't get it. And then I'm sorry, Mike, but you called him out and said, whose fault is that twice? And really,
that's exactly-
I
that's
would
exa-
like to finish. I would. It's uncomfortable. I know. It's uncomfortable for me. But as selectmen, you are supposed to be overseers. So, we can't now blame the citizens for not getting information when the normal way to get information has changed. So that's
let-
my point. I don't need to debate, but
Okay,
that's my point.
okay, very good. Anything else?
Thank you. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Anybody else? Yes.
Wayne Burbank from Goose Rocks Beach. I have some comments and questions for you. The town manager said, I think it was the last board meeting, that the McCabe property, I think she said, had some issues or problems. We were talking about selling it or something. There was some issues, you said, with that land. I don't know what that meant, but anyway, can you shed any light on that, or?
So I don't remember saying there were issues. So we're talking about the 8-acre parcel.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think there may have been a question about whether or not the town should have built a town hall there. Was that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
So the challenges with the McCabe parcel and what the engineer and architect looked at was whether that would be a suitable site. And so it would not have been more cost-effective, is what they determined. It would have been more costly because of the topography of the site. You would have had to build into the hill and had a retaining wall, both for parking as well as for the building, as well as the extension of utilities back that distance.
Okay, okay. Couple of other things. The Cape Porpoise Pier, there's an overage of what, $720,000 now. It's gone up since we signed the contract or whatever because of labor and materials and everything. And that is supposed to come out of undesignated funds. And then the 3 parcels that you're proposing to sell, the existing town hall, the McCabe property, and the 1 acre on Beechwood. If you don't sell those and get what you want for them, you're authorizing $800,000 more to come out of undesignated funds, I believe, right? So there's $1.5 million. I don't know if this has got a bottomless pit or where all this undesignated fund is coming from. I think maybe the residents are taxed too much if there's that much money sitting there to put $500,000 here and $500,000 there, but,
So can I just clarify a couple of items? So on the pier, there is not an overage because we have not signed any contracts at this point. So while we were going through the permitting and the EDA approval process, certainly costs have changed. And so we are planning to bid the project in January of 2024. And what the current cost estimates are saying is that our funding that we have in place wouldn't potentially cover that bid. So this is a reserve request in order to meet that requirement.
okay. If the town hall is approved, we all know that almost every project, whether it's my house or whatever, for some reason, you either forget to put something into the bid, or materials went up, or labor went up, or delays, or we're getting permits, whatever. It always costs more than you think it's going to be. So you're saying 8.8 million maximum for the new town hall, right? That's providing you don't sell some of this land, but we all know there's going to be more than that. I've never seen a project yet that comes in where it's supposed to be. And the thing that I strongly disagree with is you said there was 100 seats in the auditorium, the new auditorium, but there's only 54 parking spaces. And I'm like, if a developer tried to do that, they would get shot down in a heartbeat. You got to have more parking spaces than that. It's just slightly more than half, So I've seen other projects. I remember one particular, the state of Maine, when they widened the turnpike from York to Biddeford or whatever, they had to use some wetlands to put it where they wanted to, right? So what they did, there was a gravel pit, I think it was, or something in Sanford. So they swapped, they made more wetlands in Sanford in exchange for the wetlands. And now, why couldn't that be done with where you want to put the town hall? There's so many wetlands on that property. You could take some a little bit of the good land, and there is a little bit of good land, I guess, there, but, and swap it so you could put more parking with the town hall.
Yeah, so I feel like we're getting into a different agenda item, but I will say that currently the way it is, so in terms of the cost, you're right, things happen as you go through the bidding process
Yeah.
and the construction process, right? And, we anticipate that that will happen just like it happened with the police, department renovation or the Parks and Rec building. There's always things that come up.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that, so we have built in a contingency into the budget as well as we have a cost per square foot basis that we anticipate will be where construction prices are in 2024. So we have done our best to safeguard that. However, our job in managing a project, just like the many projects I'm sure you've had to manage, is you do the best you can with the funding you have in place.
yeah.
So in terms of, could we reduce the wetland area and have compensation elsewhere? That's an avenue for any developer. The steering that we gave the engineer was to make it fit within the site, and so certainly that's what they've done. We don't anticipate that every person who comes to a meeting is gonna drive their own vehicle. And so certainly Werner sat on that building committee as well. We looked at that and we anticipate that there would be some on-street parking as well available if there's overflow.
Yeah, yeah. Personally, I recommend that the town wait a few years till some of this money for the village parcel is paid off. I think we're getting in way over our head. And, it's just, it's not $10 million for the village parcel, it's 14 million something when you figure the cost. And the other thing is, I keep hearing about this 5 acres of land that's next to the police station. And now I heard that they're talking about putting workforce housing in there or something. But why, 5 acres there, why couldn't that be a good place to put the town hall?
So currently where the police department is, there is land behind the police department as you go down the hill. The town could look at putting the town hall there. The issue is it would not be less expensive. There are challenges with that site as well. And, Werner, I don't know if you have any words on that as well, but we have looked at other locations and none of them were a better site. They were alternative sites certainly, but didn't reduce our costs.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you.
So it's my understanding that the town looked at the police department site, I'm going to say that maybe 20-odd, 30-odd years ago. There was a concept that was looked at, that showed, I think a combined building. And for whatever reason it was, the town, the town chose not to do that, at that point. And so I suspect, one, just because of, some of the topography. And I think, did we think about that piece? Sure, we thought about it, but, the operational disturbances that you would have if you were to try to come through the police department parking lot, through there. I think you have a significant amount of, site work and deconstruction that would occur. Plus, not, to mention that site is, is primarily septic on that site. Also, would lead to a significant, significant cost, development cost that you don't have at the village parcel site.
Thanks. Thank you, Werner. Is there anybody else?
Hi, Charlie Tremblay, Bosun Lane, and apologies for being late, so if this is redundant, again, apologize. I just want to say thank you, Lori, for you and your team. I saw that you posted the survey results for the village parcel online. It is great, the transparency of all the information's there, all the verbatims are there, and I think that speaks to a very positive thing when the town does that. I know there's been a lot of other criticisms, but I just want to recognize the fact that it's nice to see all the information out there publicly available, so thank you for that.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Moving on, we've got, the next item is the public hearing to adopt the MMA model ordinance of the appendices A to G for the period of October 1, 2023 to September 30th. Allison.
Hi, everyone. Allison Kenway from the Public Health Department, and one of my jobs is also the administrator of the mandated general assistance program for the town. So, and every year, the state analyzes each town and every county to determine the maximum amount of assistance a person in need can qualify for. General assistance is a program administered by the municipality to aid a person or family who are unable to provide basic needs essential to maintain themselves for a limited period. General assistance helps qualifying individuals and families to meet their basic needs. And our job is to assist the clients to help meet their needs and help them navigate other options of help. As mandated by the state, Kennebunkport votes yearly to accept these maximums set by the state. So in your packets, under the appendices A, B, and C, which includes the overall maximums, housing and food, they've all increased this year over last year. And then the appendices D through H, which are heating, personal care, household supplies, funerals, and mileage, all are remaining the same as last year. And then just to review some of the ways we've helped town residents. In 2022, we had 12 requests for general assistance. None of them, unfortunately, met the qualifications through the state, but we do have a lot of people in town that still require needs, and we are able to help them in other ways. We have, right here in town, we have a general needs account to help town residents, and each case is reviewed individually to see how we can assist. Kennebunkport also has food and a fuel account to help town residents in need. Community Outreach Services and Community Harvest in Kennebunk also serve our 3 towns, and they both have special needs services, and clients are referred to them through the General Assistance Office. Those are all for people who don't qualify for general assistance through the state, but we can help them in other ways. Community Outreach Services also runs the local food pantry for our community, and families can sign up for time slots and go shopping over there. Shopping, I call it, but they don't have to pay for it. They just pick what they want for their family. And the Kennebunk Rotary CS3 program this year provided back-to-school clothing for all children in need in the school district. And we had 7 students from town that participated in that, along with our health council that provided backpacks and back-to-school supplies for these local students. In Secret Santa, last year in 2022, we had 4 families consisting of 6 children that received Secret Santa gifts. And we also have a fuel account to assist town residents in need with fuels. And fuel is oil, K1, propane, electricity, cordwood, and pellets. And last year, 2022-23, we had 9 families that totaled $4,815.20 within fuel. Through the General Assistance Office, also we assist helping those people get connected with York County Community Action through their fuel program or their electric program, or also they have a home repair program. So that's what we do for general assistance. Any questions?
Questions from anybody?
I
Just,
think you do a wonderful job.
just impressive to hear what your organization does for our community.
Thank you.
And what I'm understanding is what we're voting on here was never used last year. Is that true?
True.
And yet all these wonderful things you do to reach out and help. We're blessed to have you.
Thank you.
So this requires a public hearing.
Yes.
So I'd like to make a motion, to have somebody make a motion to open a public hearing.
So moved.
And second, all those in favor? Okay. So is there anybody from the public who would wish to comment on this? Hearing none?
So just to clarify too, these
Okay.
are the state guidelines.
These are state guidances.
So it's nothing from
Not-
us, it's the state
Correct.
guidelines.
All state, right. Thanks for that. So I'll entertain a motion to come out of public hearing.
So moved.
Okay, second?
Second.
All those in favor? Okay. So the next item is consideration of a liquor license.
I think we need to
Make a
vote
motion
on this.
to
We gotta
adopt
vote.
general assistance.
You're right.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to
Make a
adopt
motion.
the general assistance ordinance appendices.
Right.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay. consideration of a liquor license for Breakwater, Kennebunkport, Breakwater Inn, located at 127 Ocean Avenue.
Would you like to say something?
I'm really thirsty.
It's, anybody? No, okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
To approve the
Oh.
liquor license of the
Yes,
Breakwater?
question,
Sure.
sure.
Oh, sorry.
Alan Evelyn, Kennebunkport. The Breakwater Inn, as I know it now, consists of 2 separate facilities. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so is the application for 1 address, or is it for 2 addresses?
It's a renewal of the original.
Can you come to the microphone,
Yeah.
please?
I'm so sorry.
I'll go ahead and sit down.
I'm renewing the license that was originally provided. So I took the information that was on that original liquor license and applied it to the application for renewal.
So this reads,
Stripers is actually where the alcoholic beverage is sold and consumed. Do I need to specify that?
this is written for Breakwater Inn and Spa at 127 Ocean Avenue, Kennebunkport, Maine.
Correct.
Is that, if I sent Stripers, the Stripers Restaurant at 127 Ocean Avenue, Kennebunkport, Maine, would that be a correct address?
It is a correct address. That is, both buildings are part of the license designation. It's just that the actual, there were 2 lounges at the property, one behind the front desk when you arrive. That was discontinued currently. Stripers was created, and that's where the liquor license really provides the service of alcoholic beverage.
And that's at 127,
It's at 131.
131.
Yeah.
Oh, so are they separate entities, legal entities?
No, sir. They're under the same banner of identification with the state tax board.
Well, it's a Lori question.
I don't know.
What's that?
So,
That's a
I mean,
lawyer.
in the description of the areas to be licensed, Stripers
It
is
includes it
mentioned as well,
as well,
later in
yeah.
the application. And I think, Tracy, correct me if I'm wrong, in the past, we've had 1 license for both facilities.
It says Breakwater Inn and Spa containing a full-service restaurant, first floor of inn, and Stripers.
Yep.
Open weekly, so.
As
I
long
think
as
that's
legally
covered.
we're covered, I
Yeah, I
mean,
think
that's.
it's fine.
Do you have a concern, Alan? Is there a concern?
separate building, where Schooners used to be.
You got me there, folks. I didn't know that history.
Is that where the?
Where was the Schooners?
What's the
Was it
concern?
by the front desk where the can,
It's further, it's across from the Lobster Club.
Okay,
yeah, that's the Breakwater Inn main entrance from the Lobster Club. Schooners was that little tiny, we call it the lobby bar, but it hasn't served liquor in a long time. It's just a an area for people to reside and sit down and do some work and something like that. So there's no liquor being served. There's no bartender serving.
It sounds like you could. I would see a reason why you couldn't. It's all part of the
We could.
organization. All
We
right,
could.
yeah, so, yeah,
We could, but it's not,
good.
we don't have a particular name for it. The reason for the liquor license is because of the prominence of
Right.
the restaurant.
I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
If you open it up again, call it Schooners.
I have to jump through hoops on that one, Mr. Dykstra. There's a corporate entity that I have to answer to.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody. Hey, it was nice to be part of the meeting. Thank you.
Come back anytime.
Thank you.
Okay,
See you at the bar, yep.
Yep.
appointment of a RSU 21 school board representative. We were very lucky this year to have 5 applicants, 5 qualified applicants for this one position. It is a term to fill for somebody who resigned and expires next June, June 2024. We had 5 to begin with. 1 withdrew early, Nina Perlmutter, who was also very qualified, and we had Tom Foley, who has not resigned, but has withdrawn because of personal issues and timing. And we have left with 3 qualified candidates still. We have Diane Franz of 160 Main Street. We have, I've got the alphabet right this week. I don't know if anybody was here last time. Donald Gasink of Kings Highway. And we have Rachel Kennedy Smith, who lives on Land's End Road here in Kennebunkport. So we have 3 very well-qualified candidates. We've had a chance to, we heard them at the last meeting, and they were able to give us a brief analysis of what they wanted to do, what they thought they could contribute, and so forth. And the question that we did ask was, if you were to be nominated to this position, when it comes to next June, when the term expires, would you be interested or consider running again for a full 3-year term? And the answer from all the candidates was yes. So with that in mind, I'll entertain a motion. Chair recognizes John Dykstra.
I'd like move to appoint Rachel Kennedy Smith as the Kennebunkport's representative to RSU 21, with a board, with term expiring June 2024.
And I'll second that. And discussion, board?
I guess because I nominated, I just feel that, again, this was a tough decision. Very, very qualified people on, in the whole group. I believe with Rachel having 2 children in the school district, having experience in these matters, that she would be the most qualified person for this term.
That was my thinking as well. I would think that somebody who has children in the system or in the school system would have a real desire to make sure that things in the school district went according to the way that we would like most of our children to be educated. And I think it's important that the parents support their children. So that would be mine. Any other discussion? No? Okay, I'll, all those in favor? That's 2. All those opposed? 3, okay, so 3-2. So I guess what I'll do is entertain another motion.
I'll like to make a motion to appoint Diane France as the Kennebunk's representative to RSU 21 board with a term expiring of June 24.
And I'll second. And I'll say, in support of Diane, she's the only one that mentioned education of all of them. And she mentioned vocational education, bring back vocational education. And that's very important to me. So that's why I'm voting this way.
And I would just say that this is an interim position, and as Mike and every one of us have said previously, this is an extremely tough decision, and, the candidates are very well qualified. For me personally, it was an interim position, and when I listened to Diane speak, she had the connection with the current board. She's attended some board meetings and committee meetings, and so I felt from a representative from Kennebunkport, she would be, to use an old term, shovel-ready, to, represent us in the next 6 months.
Okay. Anybody else? Alan? No?
I happen to agree both with
Okay.
with Sheila and Mary Beth.
Then I'll entertain, all those in favor of Diane? All those opposed?
I think I'll abstain.
I'll abstain. I'm not opposed either, so I'll abstain. I'm not opposed. We had really good candidates, and I don't want anybody to think I'm opposed to her, because I'm not, but
And I,
not
And
my
I think
choice.
that's
we were
true.
not
And-
opposed to
and-
Rachel either.
Yeah, and I think
I'm sure that's true all the way
yeah.
around.
Yeah, we're
I'm
not
sure.
opposing
Hard.
Rachel
that-
either.
that-
I think
It
we
was a
need to
very
make
hard
that clear.
decision on my
Yeah,
part.
oppose is a tough word, but yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
And I thank everybody for, but I also, like I say, consider next June another opportunity.
Yep.
Okay.
So congratulations to,
Congratulations.
to Diane.
And thank you.
Okay, now we're at number 8. Presentation regarding the Town Hall construction project. Lori.
Sure. Do you guys want to
Are
bring
they
down,
showing? Are they going to show this again? The
put the
screen's not down.
presentation up? So the purpose tonight is just another opportunity for the public to learn about the town hall construction project. It was the goal of the board to put it before the voters a few different times, and so we're gonna review the same information we did at the budget board meeting on September 11th. So here you'll see, the current town hall at 6 Elm Street, Sebago Technics, Allied Engineering, and Grant Hayes Associates were the consultants the town used in this process. Go ahead. So a little background on the current town hall, it's been there since 1960. So certainly that is 6 decades that we've been within that space. The town considered rebuilding it twice, once in the 1980s and once in 1999, first with the police department and then with the fire department. It was approved in 1999, but a lawsuit redirected the project, and so they did a renovation of 6 Elm Street about 24 years ago. The current town hall has about 3,700 square feet of office space. If you include the garage space where the fire bay used to be, that was 5,700. The programming space analysis in the new town hall includes a replacement for the meeting room that we're sitting in tonight, as well as adequate space for now and in the future, and it's about 12,600 square feet. Next slide. So one of the questions is why the village parcel site? And so when we went through that village parcel visioning process, and this just outlines the process that we went through, we had a steering committee, we had 17 stakeholder groups, we had 2 public visioning sessions, and many public steering committee meetings. And through that process, the village parcel was identified as a new town hall and meeting space. Go ahead. And so since the town hall public process began in March of 2019, when we requested funding for a programming analysis, we have talked about it through various mediums, including our town newsletter and board meetings. We went through a funding request to start putting aside funds for municipal facility. And of course, COVID came and that disrupted our plans for a couple of years. We came back last March 2022, requested for funds for engineering and design. We had a town hall building committee appointed in fall of last year. That committee was made up of 7 citizens and 2 select board members and 5 staff members, and they reviewed over 7 potential designs. And those designs looked at 2-story, 1-story, larger square foot, and we tried to design something that was the most cost-effective, did not, misuse space. So that's why we went from 2-story to 1-story. We didn't want to have to duplicate circulation, elevator space, restrooms, etc. And so that was presented, their final recommendation to the board in July of 2023. The board talked about it twice in August and decided to put it on the November ballot. So this is just a review of the different configurations, and there were sub-designs under some of these, but you can see that some were single-story, some were two-story, and why those were not chosen. So we ended up with option H. Go ahead. So this is a review of what is included in the town hall, and so I won't go through all these, but it includes spaces for all the departments that are currently there, as well as public meeting space, as well as, you know, space to securely safeguard the town files, and especially our historical information. Next slide. So this is just showing 3,700 square feet of office space in the current town office. If you include the garage, as I said, you're at 5,700, and the programming study has shown we need about 12,000 square feet. So here is the official design of the town hall. You're looking in the top picture of the North Street entrance, so there would be two entrances. Option figure B is showing you the south elevation, so this is how you would enter from the parking lot. So there is two entrances, both parking lot as well as street side. The large portion to the right with the elevated ceiling is the meeting room space, and the rest of the building is for the town offices and public areas. Go ahead. This shows the site. So you can see North Street at the top, and you can see that there would be a new access drive, which is located where the gravel road is now. The parking lot would be located there with the building facing North Street. You can see some of the contours on the property as well as some of the wetlands that Mr. Burbank mentioned. And so certainly this configuration makes the best use of that parcel with the available space we have without requiring additional environmental intervention. This is the layout internally, so you can see, as we discussed at the bottom of the figure, is where you would enter from North Street. To the right is where you would enter from the parking lot. There is one central hallway, and again, this was designed with safety measures in place for the year 2023 and the world we live in. The meeting space is easy to get to for the public. There is AV room on the side of it, as well as storage space for things like tables and chairs. And there is a meeting room space off the end that can be used for public meetings and committees, as well as for the board in executive session. And there's a small kitchenette in there. There are two restrooms as you enter. So there are public restrooms that are used for the public every day and for meetings. So again, trying to maximize the use of space. As you come in, you can see the front counters in the orange area where people do the transactions with the town clerk's office for taxes and vehicle registrations. And there is a large vault that doubles the space we have now in the vault and safeguards those files but makes them accessible to the clerk's office. To the other end, you will see in the green area, that's planning and codes. So we have space for the codes office, another meeting room to meet with people who have questions about their property or what's happening at the planning board, a chance to review files, etc. And then down along the purple is kind of all those general areas. We have some employee restrooms near the end and a staff break room. And then the blue area is administration, which includes town management, finance, and IT services. And we have an IT closet located in the corner so that we have space to deal with our servers, etc. In the back or at the top of the page, you'll see some additional bulk storage, because storage is very important for all the records we have, as well as a mechanical room. So again, the building committee worked hard to condense the space as much as possible, but yet still provide space that's needed today, as well as some growth for the future. So when you look at 12,000 square feet, you might say, that sounds like a lot. How is it broken up? And so this is just a summary of how that space is broken up. So you can see we have about 5,700 square feet in office space. Meeting rooms are about 2,000. We have 1,700 in functional support, so that's the restrooms and break room. There's circulation, that's all your hallways and waiting areas. And then mechanical room is about 1,000 square feet. So this is the price estimate, and you can see in this price estimate that we have a little over $1 million in contingency, so it's a 15% allowance, as well as a $450 per square foot construction cost, which is what's estimated for 2024 construction. So when this was approved by the, or not approved, when this was shown to the board in July, the board had some concerns about the $8.8 million price tag. And so that's when the board considered other options about ways to reduce that need to bond. One of those was certainly the sale of 6 Elm Street, which is the current town office. We had an appraisal for that, which was approximately $1 million. We looked at the availability and use of reserve funds of $800,000. We looked at the fundraising, a minimum of $500,000 in that. And at the last board meeting, the board approved and accepted a $500,000 donation from an anonymous donor. So we're well on the way there. And then there was the additional property sales. And again, these were conservative estimates, but the estimate was $700,000 for the sale of what's known as the 8-acre parcel alongside Parsons Field, which is known as the old McCabe parcel, as well as the 1 acre on Beechwood, which is the old Public Works garage. The McCabe parcel so let me just finish this. So if you were to reduce this 8.8 by those funds, you would look at really needing a bond of $5.8 million. I would say that in the warrant article, you're going to see question 3 is requesting approval to go forward with that construction. And can you go back one, David? And it will have in there the sale of 6 Elm Street, the use of reserves, the fundraising, and it will have 1 property sale instead of 2, and that 1 property sale is at $200,000 in question 3. And so the number will say 6.3, if I'm doing my math off the top of my head, 6.3. So what happened is when the board met with the budget committee had some concern about selling the McCabe parcel. So the majority of their board agreed to separate the McCabe parcel sale as a separate warrant article. So question 3 will have the funding for town hall construction along with those other pieces. And then question 4 is just the sale of McCabe parcel with the goal of reducing the cost of town hall. Next. So if we look at an $8.8 million bond, a $7 million bond, a $5.8 million bond, what would that look like? And the board is seeking to get it down to a $5.8 million bond over 20 years. An average annual payment would be $385,000. So what is the tax impact on that? That's 11 cents based on our current valuation. And so the impact for $100,000 of property value would be $10.96 a year. On a $500,000 property value, it would be $54.82 a year. Next. So we also looked at the fact that if we'd be taking on this debt, what debt retirements do we have coming up in that same time frame? So we'd be looking to take on this bond in 2025, and in fiscal years 26 through 29, we have several projects coming due, including wastewater, the police wastewater bond from a few years ago, police bond for the construction and renovation of the police station, the radio tower project, the recreation building will be coming off, and the seawall, so that's the Ocean Avenue seawall project. And so if you look at what those principal and interest payments are, that's equal to about $481,000 a year that would be coming off the books during that time period. Another question that came up is what's in the capital improvement plan. So if we were to approve this project, what else is out there? And so each year, as part of the budget process, we do a 5-year capital improvement plan. And this was the one that was done for fiscal year 24. And you can see a variety of projects through different departments. And wastewater, even though it is an enterprise fund, because it is a department of the town, we do include that in our capital improvement funding. Next slide. So this is just shows you what that would look like in a bar chart. And so what I tried to do was label out in those fiscal years what were the big projects, because those look like numbers by themselves. So in FY24, which is the year we're in, we had the Pier Road construction, and that was grant funded, and the ladder truck, which came mostly from reserve funding. In FY25, we have the town hall project, and again, these aren't budgeted per se, these are part of a plan. But we need to renovate this meeting room that we're in here and the village fire station in order to accommodate future fire service needs. We've looked at the Ocean Avenue resiliency project, so right now we are beginning the design for drainage issues and road height issues along Wanby Beach and in front of the Bush compound. And there were 2 pump stations for wastewater in there. FY26, mostly the big projects were the pump stations. FY27, it was pump stations, as well as looking at the head of the harbor in Cape Porpoise for resiliency and flooding issues, and then FY28 pump station. So one of the issue is that the funding, even though these are all items in the capital improvement plan, they're not all funded from the general fund or from property taxes. And so this is a pie chart showing what the recommended funding sources are. Some of those are grants, as we've talked about. Some of those are coming from our trust funds. Some are coming from reserve funds. Some are coming from our operational budget, and some are recommended from bond. So what are the other potential bond projects out there? So we've talked about this fire department renovation, and we're beginning that final design and engineering on that. We talked about the resiliency for head of the harbor and Ocean Avenue. Again, those are projects, you know, in that 5-year window, but are a little further down the road. And then the big issue is the 10 million in wastewater pump stations. So right now we are undertaking 3 pump station projects. And once those are complete, you know, we will be looking at how we fund the next pump station project. Another issue or question that came up was how does the utility costs look like in terms of the town hall? So for electricity, heating, water, mechanical, you know, this is what 6 Elm Street costs us today. We're looking at the new building certainly having much greater square footage, but moving from heating fuel to more efficient means. So certainly our systems would be much more efficient. We're looking at having a building that's well insulated. And we are looking at ways to include solar panels. So one of the things we found through this design process is that there are code regulations that would limit how much solar we could have on the roof because of wattage and how much you're allowed to section off for wattage. So one of the things we started looking at is having solar panels on the ground. And in fact, we met with a local resident recently who talked a lot about solar panels that track with the sun and things that we should have in consideration. If we were going to have solar panels on the ground, it frees us up in other ways, and we could 100% cover the energy needs of the building, whereas panels on the roof, we would not be able to cover 100%. But it means that we would need to cut some trees down, you know, and make space for those panels. So what is the time frame? So right here we are on 28th of September, where we're doing a presentation. We are planning to have a public open house on October 5th, so next Thursday, and the following Tuesday on the 10th, so from 4 to 6 p.m. People can come and tour the 6 Elm Street and get a view of what the facility looks like now and how it's working. We'll have a public hearing and presentation on all the ballot issues on October 12th, and then there's the vote on November 7th. So we have the referendum scheduled for November of 2023. People might ask, well, what does that mean for next steps? So what we would be doing if that was approved is over the winter, going through that permitting and building design, so finalizing that and going through that planning board process. And by early next summer, bidding the project out. And by fall, beginning construction in 2024 and completing by December of 2025. Did I miss anything, board members?
That's good. Oh, it's good presentation.
So that's the general information. I don't know if people have questions.
Mr. Burbank?
Sure, go ahead. Wayne?
Word is still here. This is probably he can answer this. Wayne Burbank from Goose Rocks. If a developer were to buy the existing town hall on whatever street it's on, and wanted to convert it to apartments, would they have to have a zone change? And would there be enough parking there?
So Wayne, I would tell you that the town's in a unique position, being the owner of the property, but also being, the entity that can, that could put forward, an item such as a contract zone, and I think that certainly is a possibility, for a future use of that property.
And one other question that, the parking, I'm big on this parking thing because I've seen it too many times. If somebody were to do the same thing with the, never mind, I didn't write that down right. Okay, so one other thing is did the town consider, it looks like the drawings, the building is gonna be in brick? The new town hall, is it brick?
I think that it's going to be sited differently on different sides. And so there is some stone and then siding.
Okay, because I wondered why you wouldn't put something like a Rundle has, that's a nice looking building,
Clapboard, yeah.
Probably a lot less money than brick
Yep.
too. And the anticipated price of selling the McCabe land, I haven't seen that anywhere. What do you anticipate putting a price in?
The estimate they put in, a conservative estimate, was $500,000.
500,000, okay. I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Neil?
Good evening. My name is Nelty Noe, and I have fact sheets on my experience with Arundel Town Hall that I participated developing their system. And I just wanted to share some facts about their performance in the last 2 years. And I think anybody else needs a copy, I have extra. But just to qualify myself as why I should be here giving this information to you to digest. I've been in Kennebunkport citizen since 1979, and since then, I've participated in building my own projects on a high-performance envelope. Since 1992, all of my projects has been high-performance envelope. And what it means is R40 walls and R60 ceiling and minimum of R19 basement or under the slab. If the new town hall is built to this standard, high-performance envelope, as it was with the Arundel Town Hall, and you combine it with on-site solar generation, we can have a 50-year lifespan on a new town hall with zero operational cost. I saw the $36,000 annual energy cost. If we invest right now as part of the build-out, as Arundel did, we could have only service connection fee monthly. In case of Arundel, the third-party engineer was consulted to see how much energy Arundel New Town Hall will consume over a year period. It was estimated that 100,000 kilowatt hours will be required based on the design criteria that was given to this third-party engineer. I think that the third-party engineer did not know how high-performance envelope will behave, because I was given, at the time I was still in business on the solar market on Limerick Road, so I was approached by town manager and the building committee and select board to design a system for them. And of course, the solar panels were built onto the roof. And I had stepped out of this roof-mounted system about 5 years ago and concentrated on tracking system, because I found through data, through my 12-acre solar farm in Vermont, which is a ground-mounted system versus a tracker system in Burlington, and they have consistently outperformed my solar farm by 38 to 42% every single month for 10 years. So I knew that the tracker is the way to go, even though it is a little bit more expensive than a roof mount system. The efficiency is there, which really adapts to the high performance envelope. And if you combine both technologies, as you could see it on the second page, the back of the page, there is a proof that 100,000 kilowatt hour design system was able to produce over 100,000 kilowatt hours a year. 2021, we produced 109,180 kilowatt hours. And the requirement that was given to us that the building will run with 100,000 kilowatt hours turns out to be 42,000 kilowatt hours. Good thing that the Maine has Section 303 of net meter rules that allows any overage on the net meter contract can be assigned to other accounts as long as it's within central Maine or versus location, service area. So essentially what happened to Arundel, even though the third-party engineer's estimate was over 58% high, because it only actually uses 42,000 kilowatt hours a year, they were able to assign the extra power that Town Hall produced to fire station and DPW, and even 6% of the power goes to the street lighting purpose, or street, traffic light purpose. So, to me, knowing this information, and if I didn't give it to the town and to you, who, the decision makers, I would be negligent, especially for my own town, because I helped Arundel to develop their system. And because I said, you know, it's my hometown, my business hometown, which is, I've already sold this business location, so it's no longer my hometown. This is my hometown. And knowing this information and me not stepping in at this late, I am so sorry that I wasn't participating to try to encourage you to design high-performance envelope and concept of on-site generation. That's where we need to, that's where we need to be. So I appreciate your time.
Well, I want to let the audience know that we've met with now and had a good discussion on this at Town Hall.
Yep.
And we expressed that we have a fervent interest in solar. We don't know how to go about it yet, but we're going to find out how or when. So, but exactly.
Mike, I appreciate that, and that meeting that you and I and Lori and, you know, Warner and, I forgot your name.
That's because he was late.
But the question that I have is that what is the insulation? I know Lori mentioned that it'll be well insulated. It's really critical that these values gets hit. Otherwise, solar is just becoming meaningless.
These are these are in the ballpark of the things that we've been talking early on. So I would imagine that when I say I imagine, I don't know for sure, but I would imagine that we're going to follow the best that we can, you know, as far as the insulation and so forth goes.
Yeah, so
and so we've talked about it. So
we did talk about it,
Yeah.
but just be careful. Just don't rely on one engineer firms or
Right.
one opinion, because Arundel lucked out in a sense that the third-party energy analysis came in at 100,000 kilowatt hours. They overspent by 58%.
yeah.
On the solar system. They didn't need to, but luckily we were able to power other, you know, Arundel is 100% solar municipality. And I don't know any other main town, and we could be a second one to do so. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Appreciated it when we did it, when we talked about it. Appreciate it now. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else?
Anderson has her hand raised.
Melinda?
Yes, hi. I'm wondering why we didn't choose a more moderate town hall that would make it more comfortable for people to vote yes. Why did we go to such a high amount with the design we have? And why wasn't it more moderate so we could say that that sounds good?
Well, the committee spent a lot of time and went over a lot of models and a lot of layouts and a lot of, and we did all of the space analysis, and this is what the committee recommended and what we're going forward with. And that's what's on the town warrant.
I noticed in the meeting tonight, you do not have the slide that shows the 4 places that you chose, the Wildwood Fire Station, North Street, I think it was Elm Street. I don't have it in front of me, and I think the village parcel. So
Well, that wasn't removed. It was for any reason. I don't think it was there, but and on this presentation anyway. But it wasn't removed because we have discussed it. We have discussed that at many of the meetings of the locations we looked at, and the committee felt that the best opportunity and the best location was the village parcel on North Street. So that's now a decision that is on the town warrant.
right, I know that part, and I know Lori said that this was a revamp, so there are parts that are a little bit missing. And I would like to just take a minute to read from the comp plan on the climate resiliency that we voted through as a town, but did not pass as a state. Not to say that this is the thing that failed the state, but it is part that the town did vote in. And if you bear with me, I did write it down. It says, page 16 of the climate resiliency, which is the Bible of what we're voting through that we stand by as a town. It says the community will continue to pursue a resilient and sustainable path for the foreseeable future. We will reduce our collective carbon footprint, take a lead for recycling and energy efficiency, and strive to be a net zero community. We will be responsive to the challenges posed by a changing climate, and we will be playing a supportive role in helping our fellow Mainers to implement the state's bold new climate action plan. So, you know, to think that we went this far with the planning, but didn't take our own initiative to follow our own comprehensive plan that you've, you know, approved as a select board, and the voters approved, thinking, I'm sure it's not just this one thing that made them clue in, or they're just maybe not really informed enough, and they saw a 5-0 vote, and this was the previous board that voted it in.
I think, Belinda, though, what you may be overlooking there is that in the climate resiliency, there's probably 100 or so projects that are items that we need to address in town, and that those issues are being addressed right now by our climate committee in town, and the resiliency, and we're in the process of developing all of the strategies, not necessarily the timing, but all of the strategies that we're going to use going forward. And as we're developing those strategies, we are making sure and cross-referencing those. These are not state required, but we're working with all the other towns on this climate issue, and we're making sure that what the climate committee, action committee is doing, the planning committee is doing, is making sure that the resilience plan that we come up with for whether it's emissions, whether it's electrical use, whether it's that kind of thing, we're cross-referencing it all to what the Selectmen passed in 2022, or recommended in 2022 as far as the climate resiliency program for the town, and cross-referencing it to the comprehensive plan. So that is a requirement. And then on October 26th this year, at the Board of Selectmen's meeting, you will see that resiliency plan is more than just electricity for the town hall. It's a really comprehensive strategy of a number of items that are, like I say, cross-referenced to the very thing that you're talking about, including the comprehensive plan. And that will be presented here on October 26th. So I hope that, what I would hope is that you would keep an open mind as to what the word resiliency means as far as the scope of resiliency. It's just not electricity, it's everything else too. So having said that, do you have any other things you want to say about that? I'm happy to listen.
I do. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate your input. And I guess I look at it that the North Street Fire Station, if I'm correct, because I don't have an electric car, has solar that's free to anyone. So I don't have a solar car, and I know my electricity, or my, my taxes went up $1,600 last year. So to think that you're just giving away free electric for anybody that pulls into town and can plug in for free, but you're not going to give it to us, that seems outrageous, especially since you got $440,000 to plan a new town hall that didn't have solar.
So I want to clarify
Yeah.
that no one has said that this building is not going to include solar. But we only went so far in the design before we've gone to the town to get approval. There is still a final design, and we have to design all the mechanicals and the electricity and the final site. And so that work is still all to be done. And we haven't spent 440,000 to get us to this. It was 400,000, but this is the beginning of the process, and we need approval in order to complete that process.
And I think the point that can be made as well is that the town of Arundel did it for 2.2 million in 2020 at the height of COVID.
Melinda,
And they have solar that feeds back the fire station and the public works, if I have that correct, which I'm pretty sure I have that correct. And we didn't do that. We didn't even try and hit a mark of putting solar in the bid to be part of the building. Now we have to do more. And I know that there's already 400,000 extra that we have to take out of capital gains for the furniture. And there's a contingency of 1.2 million. So you're already up to like 10 million for
No.
not what we'd want to pay for, or
The
not
con-
what
the
I would want to pay for. I
contingency
take
is
that back.
included in the total. Belinda, the
me?
contingency is included in the total, but now, did you want to say something?
I do. Since we're on the dollar amount, I think that numbers should be very, very accurate as far as the Arundel cost was concerned. And I did a lot of research, and Melinda's 2.2 million that she cited might have came out of my mouth, and I was wrong. So I just want to correct that this could be checked out with Keith, the town manager, or anybody else, on the building committee, particularly Robbie Ingerson, who was really strong proponent of high performance envelope. And the actual build out cost by Wallette Construction was 2.485 million. But all said done, all in, hardscape, furniture, and including solar was 2.9 million for 7,050 square foot building. So
Okay.
proportionately, we should be within 30%, 130% of that cost right now. Just wanted to throw that out.
Well, that was a help.
And I did talk to Keith and Arundel about that construction cost and what their experience was. So as was noted, they're talking about a 7,000 square foot building. We're talking about a 12,000 square foot building. Arundel tells me that they constructed it for $250 a square foot. And as people know, prices have gone up since COVID, and we're looking at an estimate of $450 a square foot. So the difference is time as well as size.
So, I'm sorry, Mike and Lori, the meeting that you had, can you just help clarify, maybe for me, and I don't know for you guys or others? So the intent, as we said, is solar intent. So how do we square the efficiency that was brought up here around Arundel? Because I know it's not designed yet. So is that the intent, is that we're going to go after the efficiency factors that Arundel had, look at the tracking solar, like Lori said, maybe have to take some trees down, or whoever said take some trees down. So is that like the final thing? So should the townspeople look at this as, hey, Arundel was able to achieve this on a better than net zero because it funneled police and everything else. So is that going to come in the design phase? Is that the expectations of the design phase?
Right, and so certainly my goal was, and you can look back at our request for proposal process when we hired our architect and engineer, we mentioned that was the goal. And we've talked to them about it. We've had a meeting with the engineers and architects with Revision Energy. Natu was kind enough to offer his expertise. I talked to Arundel about their experience as well. And, as you get into it, you learn that there's a lot of different pieces, and like most decisions, there's pros and cons associated with each. We were looking at the roof model, but I think the roof model was only going to provide us about 20% of our need what's estimated as our need. And so certainly I was looking for something more than that, which is when we talked about the ground model, we talked about a parking lot canopy model, which is, you know, what I talked to Natu about as well. He was very helpful in informing us on, you know, the pros and cons of some of these different models and offered his expertise as well. And so if this is approved, that is our plan to bring him in as we go through that final design phase to pick what's best.
And so the intent is, just for clarification, within the bond that we discussed on that, within that $8.8 million bond, the intent is to do everything you just said, bring that in, maybe, hopefully, the tracking systems, and come potentially better than net zero.
Right, and certainly to look at the return on investment.
Exactly.
So those costs for the roof panels are different than the cost for the tracking on the ground, different than the cost for the parking lot ones, but they all have benefits, and the experience that he provided was talking about the efficiency of those different models, and so you can generate more with perhaps less, and so I think we need a thorough investigation of that.
I would, if I may, address that ROI, return of investment issue. And it was reflected on the special town meeting that they specifically had for the largest bond issue that Arundel participated. Of course, I wasn't able to vote, but I was there 5 minutes before 10 o'clock Saturday morning meeting. And the line was all the way out to the parking lot, and the buildings committee and select board who had worked very hard for the fourth time for 2 years to get this project to the vote. And it turns out that it was, the bottom line was that they had to actually pull out the bleachers because they didn't have enough folded seats. And the process of picking a moderator took longer than the actual vote. And the vote was 98.3% versus 1.7%. It was virtually unanimous. And what I'm feeling and seeing in our town is that there's a lot of contentiousness because we don't have the plan of the building itself solid. And I think that if we could, what they did was that they were able to convince before the vote that we have the building committee chair presented at the special meeting saying that we tried to think in terms of 100-year building, and that we are going to fix the cost of our operation at $40 per month for connection fee to the central main, not $36,000 a year for operational cost. We now have the technology to be able to have the cake and eat it too, which is that we invest early on to self-generating capacity so that we could cover the operational costs. What we should be doing is not just per square foot cost versus what is the total build-out cost plus what would it be for operational costs for next 25, 50, 100 years? Because if we had energy-efficient buildings on Main Street from 200 years ago, imagine the amount of energy that could have been saved and the cost by, a factor of 200 years.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
One that has her hand raised again?
Yes.
Wayne?
Oh, Wayne, I'm sorry, Wayne had his hand up first.
Well, I'm all for solar, but I'm not for cutting down forest to put solar in or having it next to the road where that's all you see for a half a mile is solar. But I think, was it your intention that the 8.8 million is going to pretty much include solar?
We're looking at an incentive program that the federal government is offering that would reduce that cost, and that's part of it is getting those costs in, but the goal is to include that in the project.
Now, you said that the roof-mounted solar would not, 20% of the electricity?
That was what the engineers
So
estimated.
where would you put the rest of it? I mean, that's
Well,
pretty
that's
expensive
the
land to put
problem.
solar panels on.
That's why we were looking at a parking lot canopy approach as well. And so that was a new design that they informed me about. So rather than having to cut down trees, we could use the parking lot area and collect that, but we need further investigation into how
So
much
the
of
cars
that.
would be parked underneath the
Yep.
panels?
Yeah,
Never seen that.
yeah, they told me that they have a new project going in at, on Route 1 in Arundel at that Weir's GMC, that they're gonna be doing a similar
yeah.
product like that.
Yeah, I think the town would be foolish not to put solar. I mean,
Yeah, we agree.
the other thing that I want to ask this gentleman is, nobody has ever been able to tell me, at the end of the 20-year cycle for solar panels, what happens to all those solar panels?
The warranty for the
Excuse me.
manufacturer.
Okay, this is not a
Yeah,
debate
that's
between these two people. This is our meeting. Okay.
Well, maybe he could talk to the microphone and
But-
explain it.
Come to the mic, which one?
Gentlemen,
Oh, yeah. I'm not having a debate here
No, I
while we're
wasn't
having a
having
meeting.
debate. I was just
Yeah.
trying to give the warranty for solar panels are no more than 20% degradation over 25 years. But every single solar panel manufacturer has the exact same warranty. So after 25 years, 80% of the original power output is guaranteed. I've been to that San Diego National Lab where they tested multiple generations of solar panels. And with today's technology, they expect that 20% degradation be reached at 55 to 60 years. So it's a very durable product. It doesn't mean that it's going to be maintenance-free, because you have to take DC power that solar panel produces and invert it to 240 AC to be able to send the power out to the grid. So there is electrical equipment called inverter that does the DC to AC conversion, and that will go down. So, there'll be 10 years out, 12 years, so there'll be probably inverter equipment replacement cost, but that's about 10%.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know why I care, I'm not going to be around it anymore.
Oh, you care. Okay, anybody else? Yes?
Charlie Arnold. Do I understand that in November, you're going to ask us to vote on a bond amount?
Yes.
Okay, it seems to me that the plans for the building are still somewhat nebulous. Now, maybe that's my lack of understanding, but we're talking about adding in solar panels, questions about the insulation.
There haven't been any questions about the insulation as we've been going through this process.
Okay, but then
It's been-
solar panels, for example.
No,
that's
solar
gonna-
has always been in our mind.
Okay,
Yeah.
but that's going to be an additional cost that it doesn't seem to have included in the 8.8 million, right? So I think somebody else said it might be better to have a more firm design that everybody can see and that can be costed out properly so that we know what we're paying for, rather than what I sense right now is nebulous. And I'm just throwing it out for thought. The other concern is that, right now, the price is 8.8 million. You're trying to bring that down by selling some other property, but you're still selling town assets and to reduce the amount of the bond. So, but the price still is 8.8 million, plus or minus whatever is added or subtracted. Does anybody know what's the population of Kennebunkport?
Yay!
The population of Kennebunkport year-round is about 3,600. Seasonally, it's
Yeah,
about
because I looked
12,000.
at the 2020 census.
Yep.
And I said, okay, I'll double that just for, whatever. So let's say 7,000, just to err on the side of caution. It seems to me that a 8.8 million town hall for somewhere between 4 to 6 million, of 4 to 6,000 people, I have a hard time putting my brain around that. And you combine that with the selling of the lots, and I wonder if selling those lots is a bit wishful thinking. I'd rather have the lots sold and have the money in the bank, or pretty close to it, before we end up voting on a bond, because those lots don't sell, then you're going to come back to us with another vote on another bond to make up the difference. And with interest rates where they are and potentially going up, either the valuation or the prospect for selling those lots or properties becomes questionable. And I just throw out that there just seems to be a little nebulous wishful thinking on some of these things, and having a firm design for the buildings so it's absolutely costed out and we know what we're dealing with, and maybe actually having some offers, real offers on the properties, would give people a lot more confidence in what we're voting for. Those are my thoughts. I hope they're coherent.
Appreciate it.
but-
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Linda still has her hand raised, and Paul Hogan does now, too.
Okay, Melinda?
Yes, hi. I appreciate the gentleman that just spoke of asking what the population is in town, because I did have a point to continue to make, and I'm the one that just said yay, because I was glad he made the point. I didn't realize I was still on microphone, or I would have kept talking, because I wasn't given the liberty to continue my points, but the population of Arundel is more than Kennebunkport. It's like 4,000 something, and Kennebunkport is 3,000 something. So my thought of having a moderate town hall, 12,000 square feet, seems overdone. And that's not for debate, it's just a comment. And the other thought, just listening to Nalto and thinking about solar and hearing that solar is part of what you are concerned about, I wonder if the Dickie McCabe piece now shows more merit to have more area for solar without cutting down trees and going against what we're trying to do as a big picture in this town. So I am done. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul?
While we're waiting for Paul, yeah, we have 3,600, but we also deal with almost 12,000 when it's summer. There's a lot of activity that goes on in this hall and in the town's effort and workforce that it belies a 3,600 person population. So I think we need to be real clear when we're talking about how many people this town hall is serving and at what stress and amount of effort that's required.
Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, my first point was the same as Melinda's, wondering about the population of Arundel versus ours. But the second thing is about the meeting room. You know, in the 70s and the 80s, everybody built these grand houses with huge 20-foot ceilings, and you know, everybody realized, oh, this is really stupid. We can't heat these places. We can't sell these places because nobody wants them anymore. I'm just wondering, you know, with a sustainability hat on, why we designed a meeting room with, you know, a grand, you know, hallway as if we had designed it in the 70s or the 80s.
Thank you. Yes?
Hi, yes, my name's Stephanie Bryant. I just have a couple of questions about y'all's presentation. It was a very nice presentation, by the way. Is it available online currently for people to review? Okay, awesome. I completed your survey about the Village Parcel Town Hall, and it was really nice to see those survey results up as well. So I look forward to kind of reviewing those. I I guess I'm still getting kind of caught up with everything. Just for background, I grew up in Kennebunkport, and I spent about a decade down in Texas, but I have been fortunate enough to be back this way, and I really have enjoyed being in my community, and thank you all for your work here in the community. So are the only mock-ups of the design those two images that y'all showed us earlier currently? Do you have?
The outside design, yeah. We've got what we've showed you.
Okay, so it's just those two, like currently it's just those two mock-up designs for people to get like a conceptual idea of what the building will look like? And that'll be available before the vote in November?
They're on the website now.
But that's all there is that's available for
That's
people to
all there is.
conceptualize it? Okay, so there's just two images available right now for people to get an idea of this $8.8 million project that is being proposed. Is the $8.8 million project that's being proposed right now, was that the cheapest option that was discussed, or were they all within around that same ballpark range? I know there was a list of alternatives up there, and I'll happily go back and look online, but if you're.
I mean, Mike and John sat on the committee, but, I mean, the price really is about square feet. You know, you get to that square footage price. And so the 12,000 square foot was the smaller version of those designs.
Okay, and so was 8.8 the cheapest option that was brought out there?
It was.
Okay. Just curious, again, I'm just trying to clarify, I just am curious. So has there been any like exploration of bringing this cost down to less than 8.8 rather than just trying to find other ways to cover it through anonymous donations and fundraising and selling property?
I would say the cost was a big topic of conversation with the building committee. And, I mean, the reality is on a square foot basis, the engineers and architects are telling us this is what they're seeing bid prices come in at. And so the only way to really reduce that cost is to reduce your square feet.
So with that also was another curiosity of mine that I had is there an ability to still make use of the current town hall which would potentially reduce the square footage of a new town hall build if certain administrative individuals or
Functions happen.
yeah, if certain functions were to remain at the original town hall? Is that something that was explored?
So the goal was to keep all functions together. And certainly, you know, we did look at trying to split some functions out at other locations, such as the Wildwood Fire Station. But that was found to be a site that would not work for that use. So we looked at even building on 6 Elm Street, you know, and putting a second floor on. It wouldn't get us a meeting room, and we still would not have the parking space around it. So we did look at ways to use other facilities rather than build, because we understand that's a big number, you know,
Yeah.
I get it. And at the end of the day, because of the construction of the current town hall, you'd basically have to start from scratch. And so without a meeting room or additional parking, you know, the cost per square foot didn't change.
But so y'all did not explore keeping some operations at the original town hall to then create a smaller square footage for a new town hall? That was not an option that was explored?
We didn't look at splitting the functions if we were gonna have to build new.
Okay,
I'd
so
say-
that's
I mean, Mike and John can speak to that.
Yeah, the current town hall is very deficient, the way it is where it's built. And to put more money into that town hall, it just didn't make sense. And to split up the operations, like we have a lot of intertwined, during the day, a lot of, you know, you're able to walk down the hall and talk to people and so forth. So it
Emails
just
and
didn't make a
phones
lot of
don't.
sense to split it up.
Email and phone doesn't allow you to communicate with your colleagues?
Of course it does.
Okay, just
Yeah.
curious. So that was just something that I thought of, because I believe, Mr. Burbank's point that once that building is sold, I mean, as you all mentioned, it's served our community for over 60 years. So once that building, I believe it's tied in with this vote, is that if you vote for the new town hall, that building will then be put up for sale. So voting for this new town hall forfeits our current town hall. That building will then no longer be town property once it's sold, correct? with it being able to be developed at the will of whoever purchases it,
That's
so.
correct. That's correct.
Okay, so just to, for anyone who's listening, a building that we've had in our community for, decades that, I know for myself, I have registered vehicles ever since I was 16 in there, and it's obviously a sentimental thing, but just from a cost perspective, and then you throw the fact that this is an aspect of our community, it provides character in our community, this building that's been here forever. So that's just a point that I want to make, that this would not exist anymore once, assuming this vote is passed, that building will not be a town building anymore.
Yeah, we've made that clear all along.
Okay, yeah, no, I know for me, it just clicked for myself, so I'm glad that it's clear for y'all, it may not be clear for everyone else. But how is the current town hall garage used now? Is it in use or currently unused, that extra 2,000 square footage of space?
I mean, it houses a few vehicles. It also is used for storage.
Okay, so it could potentially be like better utilized, like there's other.
It would require a lot of
Renovation.
yeah.
Okay. And then also just for reference, where the village parcel would be, you were saying the North Street entrance, where we're on North Street now, just for my visioning, where would that entrance be on North Street in relation to the fire department if this new town hall?
That way.
How far to like before Beechwood,
Oh, Beechwood, well before Beechwood. It's on the village parcel.
Could you just, it's all really, I'm catching up here with some of the other folks that have joined you tonight.
Why are you asking? What's the concern?
I'm just curious to be able, it's not existing, none of this exists currently, and so to be able to like see it for myself, I mean, for people to want to vote to like spend that much money on
The best way to do it
helps
is
to
just
see
to
it.
drive down and you'll see the village parcel there. It's a large section with a road that goes in. It's several hundred yards down the road.
Okay, okay, so that entrance that they're proposing would just be like down the road from the fire department?
Yeah, and it's if you're going down the road, it's on the right-hand side. It's before you get to the cemetery on the left.
But why are you
Okay.
asking?
You see it.
Just
looking for
to
visual.
put myself in that, I mean, I've lived here my whole life and I've seen like the maps of it and everything, but I'm a visual person, so like on my drive home tonight, I'm gonna look at it and maybe picture a new building there.
Better tomorrow morning.
Yeah, of course, yeah, whenever, driving down this road often. And then does that 500,000 in fundraising, does that just include, is that just this anonymous donation, or are you in planning on raising 500,000 more dollars in addition?
The 500,000 was the original
Wish.
objective that the board had set. They have since received a $500,000 donation. I think their goal is to raise as much as they can above that.
Okay, so they plan on continuing fundraising efforts in other means?
I don't want to speak for them, but
That's certainly our intent, yes.
Okay, I just wasn't sure, and I was just a little confused when you saw 500,000 in fundraising, but then also made note of the donation. I wasn't sure if they were like the same thing or separate. And then I guess I'll just, one other question that I had was just in regards to the comparison of the Arundel Town Hall. Is there a way to combine and I know that the way it's pretty much, it's set in stone at this point of it needs to go to vote, but was there discussion of trying to kind of, minimize the cost in a way that's similar to Arundel's Town Hall, or was the board kind of going forward in their own vision of what Town Hall looked like for Kennebunkport?
I think that the building committee was the one who really worked on it, and Mike and John can speak to that, but their goal was to make it as cost-efficient as they can, which is
Exactly.
why they went through so many designs.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for answering all of those questions. I know that was a lot, and I really do appreciate it. And I guess I'm just going to reiterate that anyone who doesn't support the $8.8 million town hall should vote no on question 3 in November? If they would not like to support the town hall, they would vote no against
Well,
that?
that's how a vote usually works, yeah.
Okay, just curious, just for wording, you never know how wording is with voting these days, so.
Oh, we don't try to trick anybody.
I'm not saying you are, I just wanted clarification. So thank you for answering those questions.
Okay, we're going to move on to the, if anybody has additional questions, we're having a public hearing on the
12.
12th of October. So, the next item is consideration of the short-term rental cap for 2024.
Which one are we on?
Number 9. That's it. That's where we got the update.
I should have brought snacks. So, good evening, Board. So in accordance with your short-term rental ordinance, town staff is required to come forward to you all to inform you in terms of the numbers of what we've seen with our the short-term rental licensing, and as well as provide you with recommendations in terms of numbers for the next year's cap. And so, just to reiterate, we know that we have at the Goose Rocks Beach area is exempt from the cap. We have we have 187 licenses that are within that area. Outside of the Goose Rocks Beach area, we have 230, so that brings us to 417 in terms of the number of short-term rental licenses that we have here in town. So what we're bringing forward this year in terms of a recommendation, and also just to reiterate, so your cap is a percentage of the total number of dwelling units that you have outside of Goose Rocks Beach. So from last year to this year, we added 20 new dwelling units that would have gone to that count. And so if we're maintaining the same percentage that we had from last year, then this would, accounting for that increase in dwelling units, we would add an additional 2 licenses to that number. And so that would adjust the capped licenses outside of Goose Rocks Beach to 232. So that's the current recommendation that we have for you all based off of the percentage that you had last year. Fee schedule, no proposed changes to the fee schedule. Also, just a reminder for folks, the application period, that portal is set to open October 2nd at 8 a.m. It is an online process. This includes both renewal and new applications. The portal closes on December 31st at midnight. So our process is that as those permit applications come in, so we're reviewing those renewals first. Once the renewals are complete, then what we look at, we'll take a look at and see how many we processed. That essentially then, outside of the Goose Rocks Beach area, will tell us how many available licenses there are to allocate to those folks that are on the waiting list. So waiting lists, folks are taken on a first-come, first-served basis, so we maintain that list. We have properties from last year that are on that, and so those would be taken, first. Any new applications that were to come in, if new applications were from that Goose Rocks Beach area, since they're not subject to the cap, they would receive a license. New applications coming from outside the Goose Rocks Beach area, again, those would go on a waiting list, and those are addressed, again, on that first-come, first-served basis.
So just for some information, and Warner, if you don't have the information, that's okay. I just have some questions. In terms of Goose Rocks Beach, what has been the trend since we started doing it? Has there been an increase at GRB to get to the 187, or is it just been steady there?
It's been relatively steady. I mean, that number, it does fluctuate, but that's been, I think, a relatively steady number.
Okay. And then for the remainder, I see that we have the 9.5% cap of the additional dwellings outside of GRB. So how many people are on the waiting list?
So we currently have, we have 20 properties that are on the waiting list at this point.
But we don't know how many of the 230 would not renew this year.
Correct.
And that number would add to the 2.
That's right.
That the 9.5 would
Right.
give us.
Yep. So just for argument's sake, let's say that we had, let's say we had 10 properties in town outside of the Goose Rocks Beach area that sold, that had short-term rental licenses. So because the licenses are issued to the property and the property owner, that change in ownership, that, that license then becomes available. So, so then you'd have 12 that would be available where we would look at the wait list.
So how does, what's the trend been on the non-GRB licenses for the waiting list? Are we going from 10 to 20? Again, if you don't have the numbers, I'm just rough ballpark.
Yeah, right. So we don't have a lot of trend data, because
Yeah.
this is really, the numbers that we have right now, this is the first year with properties on the wait list.
Okay. So I guess my question to the board is,
I would just note that out of those 20, 11 of them are with one property owner.
Oh,
okay.
yes.
So I guess with the okay, so I guess my question to the rest of the board is, would we, to clear some of the waiting list, would we entertain going up from 9.5 a little
No,
bit?
I
Or do we
no.
wanna
guess,
hang-
I guess I wouldn't, no.
No, the intent of the short-term rental ordinance was exactly that, was to reduce the number of, or control the number of people that are turning their homes, or coming in and buying homes and turning them into short-term rentals. So it's exactly what we set the ordinance up for, was to restrict the number of short-term rentals in the town of Kennebunkport, because we've got so many of these now, where 50%, 51% of the people who own homes here don't live here, and the majority of those out of 400, well, there's 400 and something now houses that are being short-term rentals.
And 70+% of those are non-residents that own
Correct.
those 400.
Non-residents, so that's what's happening. So we're trying to, that was the original intent,
Yeah,
so.
okay,
And I think it was a good intent.
yeah.
Oh, I think it's.
Yeah, I just wanted to understand if we wanted to
Yeah.
clear out, and again, I'm coming in on this, so I just have
Yeah.
one quick more question.
Let me,
Do we have it-
one more clarification, though, just for your own information, so you know this, that what Werner said, 10 people sell their houses, and so those become available, because the short-term rental lease does not, or license does not go with the property.
It stays with the owner.
Stays with the owner.
Okay.
Well, it doesn't even stay with the owner, it just dissolves.
It dissolves.
It dissolves.
But
It
it's
dissolves,
to
yeah.
the owner, not
Correct.
not to the
Not to the
property.
property.
So my just question for clarification. So do we have any process for somebody that is that's a resident in town, that is suffering from some financial distress and needs to do a rental? Is there an avenue for that discussion or no? I just.
No, that's an application.
Okay, it's just the
Yeah.
application process. Okay, thanks. I just wanted some background. Thank you.
Just
State
to
programs
offer, I can offer a piece to
Yeah.
that question. So, I'll remind folks that we have, so this particular ordinance governs short-term rental of the dwelling unit in its entirety. So, and that's what we have, the license numbers for, and that's what you have a cap associated with. What we don't have a cap associated with are the residential rental accommodations. And so that's the renting of up to 2 rooms in your home while you're in residence. And that requires, a permit through the code enforcement office, but that is not subject to a cap. So a property owner could,
So that is a means for
That is a means.
some financial.
Correct.
Perfect.
And
Thanks.
that's not subject to this same process.
Well, John just said to me, that's good to know, because he
I
didn't know
didn't
that.
realize
So,
this, so that's good.
so I don't feel so out of the loop. Thanks, Warner.
Okay. Motion to approve?
I would prove that I'd make a motion that we maintain the 9.5%, which would give us 2 new licenses to be added to those that become available at the end of the registration period.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, 5-0. Okay, moving on to the next item. We have updates from the communications and events specialist. That would be Hope Maury.
I want to say kudos already on the town newsletter.
Oh, I forgot my town report.
Yeah, that was absolutely fantastic.
I specifically liked page 5.
Yes,
Thought that was very nice.
it's very flattering.
Very flattering.
All right, good evening, I'm gonna make that a little more height appropriate. Good evening, everyone. Hope Maury Wall, Communications and Event Specialist. So I just wanted to come in and give a brief update about some of the work I've been doing since I started this position in December, because a lot of what I've been doing is kind of behind the scenes. So I just want to give an idea of some of the goals and the projects that we've been working on and things we'll be looking at for the future. So one of the biggest things I did when I came in was identifying the different needs and places that really needed improvement. And so part of that was talking to department directors and meeting with them, finding out what things worked, what things didn't, what they wanted to communicate, and what their goals were. And so a big part of that was finding out that a lot of departments really felt like there was a disconnect between the work that was being done and the faces of the employees. And so wanting to kind of bring that more to light and give a little more personality to the staff. So we've been working on that with different things, auditing the website and going through that. So we also worked on streamlining and centralizing communications processes. Before, things were a little inconsistent and random, just because it was many different departments doing things when they could. So we've worked hard to try to make things more on the schedule so that we're inundating people less with just a bunch of emails. I mean, I think we sent out 3 today, so it's not a great example, but we've really been working on trying to make them meaningful and make them at a point so people can actually pay attention and it's not just a lot at once. And also making sure that on social media and things like that too, that we're having more consistent posting to stay on people's feeds, because those all factor into the analytics and stuff, which I'll talk about in a second. The another thing was revitalizing the regular communications that we're doing, like our annual report. And so we really worked on I worked on making it more visual, adding more graphs and charts, and we printed it in color this year. Typically, we print it in black and white. And so usually we order about 800, and we have at least 100, 150 left when we start the new year. We only ordered 700 because of those numbers, and we have actually, all of them have been picked up, and still people have been asking for more. So I think that's a good sign that it's been engaging and well-received. And also, another big thing I've been working on is increasing outreach and awareness efforts. And so some of those things are, doing staff spotlight on our social media, working with the police department to do the No Need to Speed campaign, in addition with the newer or the additional speed enforcement efforts. And so another thing, though, has been looking at our social media metrics and seeing how that is affecting how people are interacting with us. And so the biggest thing that I've worked on is reach. So not just the number of followers that we have, because we have a limited number of people in town that we're trying to reach. And we're not trying to get everyone to like our page, but we want the reach to be higher. And the reach is the number of people interacting, if they're seeing the post on their timeline, if they're liking it, commenting, sharing, all of those things, which means that it comes up more often on people's timeline. And that people, especially if they like it or things like that, but the more interactions and the more reach that we have, the more that people are likely to see it and interact with it, which is what we want. So we're not just, not screaming into the void, but, we're not just putting it out there for no one to see. And I think that that's been going well, because from January 1st to September 30th of last year, our reach was about 40,000. From January 1st to September 22nd of this year, our reach was 399,000, which is about a 400% increase. So I think we've been working really hard on that and trying to make sure that that's one route that we have to connect with people in addition to others. The other thing we've been working on, as you'll see it in the town report and the budget presentations and the other things that we've been putting out, has been developing a sense of identity for the town through branding. And branding might seem like something that doesn't belong with towns or cities, but there really is a need for it in not a commercial way, but in just it tells people who we are, and it helps us communicate that, and having consistent branding, having consistent theming and colors and font can make it easier for people to recognize and identify when something is done by the town, and can also help convey what the town is about, and can also make it kind of more of a backdrop for the information. So if you see different things, your eyes aren't jumping around to all the things that are different. You recognize it's from the town, and you can focus more on the content. So those are some things we've been working on, or that I've been working on, especially with colors and fonts and things. One thing that I've discussed with Yanina, who's my supervisor, has been a logo. And so I wanted to get the board's input on a logo because it is not something we've developed at this point. We do have a seal, and so some towns have added a logo in addition, which can kind of help refresh things and tell more about where we are today, and where we want to go for the future. It doesn't replace a seal at all. The seal is still used on legal and official documents, and I'm open to that discussion, but we kind of wanted to get the board's input on that.
Guess I always thought the seal was our logo, but it's cute enough, or not cute enough, but it's simple enough to be a logo, but you don't.
It's a little, I mean.
A little too busy still?
Graphically speaking,
Which?
Super deep. There's a lot of details.
Yeah.
The logo is usually simpler and
Cool.
easier,
Yeah.
easier to digest.
Cool.
right. There's nothing wrong with it per se. It's just in terms of
Keep the
graphically representing things, it is a little complicated. But yes, no, we have used it kind of like a logo up to this point.
So just add to Hope's point, as she mentioned, we've been looking into logo for a while now, just kind of wanted to put it on your agenda. When three towns participate together, so when you look into Arundel, Kennebunkport, we all have seals. You cannot differentiate where is Kennebunkport, where is Kennebunk, where is Arundel. And as what was said before, logo is something that can be easily recognized. So I think Hope was trying to put spirit of this town into logo. Seal is there are a lot of details, and you cannot tell when it's Kennebunkport seal, but logo would be something that would connect community in a very different way. And it's not something that we have to do, it's something that we're asking board if this would be something you would be interested in, because Hope would be up to the task and
Yeah, I
would
think-
develop few options for you.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to
Yeah.
see some ideas.
Just don't use a dollar sign.
Did you hear what John said?
No.
No. Don't use
You
a
want me to
doll.
interpret what John just said?
Okay.
Sounds like you've been pretty busy.
Oh, yeah. Always
Hope,
something new.
On the, so I talked with Lori, and I know this is an expense, but I do think, so your reach, and then I know you're working with Janina eventually on the website page.
Yes.
I do think that we got a 16% rate on the survey, and I do think part of that was from the hard mail that showed up, the postcard. I think that was a good reach out to people that, especially during summer, it wasn't, people really weren't looking. So just when you're looking at when Janina launches the website, if
Yeah.
just some communications wrap around that too, and it may have to be a little expense for some hard mail
Oh, yeah,
hard mail
absolutely.
postcards and stuff.
So just a snail mail postcard?
Well, just to then go and reach out to the
Right.
new website.
And point them to
And
the
point them to,
digital.
because
Right.
I'm just going back to the ways of communication.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the ways that different people interact with different types of things. And the snail mail still shows up. It's actually a proven thing
Yeah.
that that's where a lot of marketers are going back to. So, but we're not a marketing organization, we're just
Right,
trying to
we're
grab
trying to reach
people's
people.
attention.
Right, exactly.
And I just want to say to your point, we never delete things, we put comma next to things. So it's been mail, then it was comma, I don't know, website, then comma, Facebook. So it's always like a link of things. So now we have a list. Anytime we post something, it goes on Facebook, Instagram, website, email blast. It goes into newspaper. It goes through snail mail or through postcards if it's some, if it's like a public notice or something very important, it's important project. So it's never been deleted. It's always been a comma, but it's a very good point.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, so go ahead, design something.
All right.
Design something.
I'm on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Loretta McDonald from Kennebunkport. I'm so delighted with the fact that we have Hope Now. I know that it made a huge difference in the school district when they started using a communications person. I do have one request that I forgot to ask when you discussed the website. If you could do something about your email and making it more accessible. We have your phone numbers and your names, but we can't just click and do an email. And it's got that complicated thing that if you write in and then you get a response from Mr. Weston, then you try and reply, then you get a fail to send. So anything that you could do to improve that.
Absolutely. And right now, our website is limited, anyone who didn't know, only to 5 emails at the time, not us. It's for spam prevention techniques. But it's also limitations of the website of 2014. But absolutely, we're trying, I have a Citizens Academy, and I include every presenter's email there in case people need to reach out. And anytime somebody reaches out to Lori or to me, I reply and I include email of select board member if they want to reach out to them. It's noted, it's going to be there.
That's interesting.
Didn't realize that.
Anybody else? Okay. Okay, Eric, award the contract for the supervisory control and data acquisition called SCADA.
SCADA, yes. Yeah, thank you very much for having me tonight. I'd like to come forward. So in our last capital program, we budgeted approximately $450,000 to make some upgrades to the internal workings of the plant. I think when we last talked about these things, I talked about there are 4 controllers within the plant that basically manage all the different operations that go on in automation that happens within the plant. We're proposing to replace 3 of those. We did defer 1 till next year. Hopefully we'll be proposing that for next year. We felt we could get away with that one for another year. That particular controller is 13, will be 14 years old. It's a computer in the end of the day, so it's getting to be an aged piece of equipment. But we feel we can get away for 1 year. We have 2 of those controllers right now are legacy controllers, meaning if they lose power, I could potentially lose all my programming within that. So, and the third we'd like to replace as well this year. So with those controllers, the integration happens where we bring it all together into this SCADA system. The SCADA system is what basically brings all the data from all these controllers together so that we can see it graphically and we can also manipulate and control the equipment that way. So that is kind of the central hub. SCADA is really our central hub to these controllers that exist throughout the plant that control our equipment. So I know it's a lot of information. I don't know how to make it any, much more simpler than that.
So without the SCADA system in place, what would happen?
Yeah, we would be turning valves. I mean, it's one of those situations where we'd be running blind, if you will. We would not be getting data back to us. The current SCADA system that we have, we deferred doing an upgrade. It's running on Windows 7 currently. For those of you that still remember Windows 7, it's really. We just didn't want to spend any money, and then as we delved further into these, then we found that the controllers are also aged out and such. So we really wanted to bring this whole program together, this project together. A couple of reasons. It's all the integrations that has to happen. Control panels need to be replaced, so you've got the actual nuts and bolts that we need to be replacing. The programming needs to go in. The integration needs to happen with SCADA all at once. So what we're proposing, because what occurred is well, number one, we've selected Ignition as the SCADA system that we would like to purchase. There are only a few vendors in the state that actually work with Ignition, that are registered with Ignition, also can get discounts with Ignition. And also, what we're looking for is for one person to manage the whole project, meaning the design, the integration, and the installation, all the equipment, without having hiccups at the plant. What we're originally gonna do is request Woody Curran.
Please,
Request Woody Curran to actually manage the vendors, if you will. However, they're also uniquely qualified. They're able to do the design and actually build the panels themselves. They do have some subcontractors, but they would manage the complete project with the integration as well, from those controllers back to SCADA as well as the installation. So they're going to turnkey the whole project. So, and as part of that, we were able to find some savings as well because we are not bidding this out to other vendors. We were expecting to be bidding out to other vendors, which really brought our price down to $393,400 from the original estimates that we had of about $450,000. So we'd like to recommend awarding this to Woodard and Curran.
questions of the board?
Yeah, and then next year we do the final.
We'll do the last controller, yeah, and then that's for the screening room, yeah.
Okay, so there's no issue with delaying and doing the final controller?
No, we feel that one's, it's newer. It was put in 2010. It's not new by any, but we feel it's not as old as some of the other ones that were probably 2000 vintage.
Okay, thank you.
Motion?
I'll make a motion to award the SCADA contract to Woodard and Curran for $393,400.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thank
thank
you.
you, Eric. Might as well stay right there. So the next one is to award the dewatering project
Right.
contract.
So we had some discussion some time ago about, the first project, we had 3 projects associated with a $6 million bond that we had sold a few years ago, a couple of years ago, I should say now. One of the projects was the clarifier projects. Those upgrades have all been done and in place. The second project was the pump station projects. We are currently about 50% through the construction of that particular project. And the third project was the installation, the purchase and installation of the centrifuges, as we were going to go do away with our composting operation and go to basically, we're going to have to effectively landfill our biosolids. We've gone out to bid for the centrifuges. We actually have received the centrifuges. We've not received the control panels for those yet. They're still being constructed. There's some delivery issues with that. However, we knew we were going to be tight on the installation cost. We'd allocated $1.2 million for the installation of the centrifuges. Because we knew the construction costs had gone up, as we saw with the pump stations. We had a discussion with our pump station contractor, Apex Construction, about possibly doing a design build for the installation of the centrifuges. That way we have some control, and we also have some ability to remove and possibly add items as we see fit. So it's really kind of more of a relationship. We've been working with them to get down to that 1.2 number, and they did get that, or very close to that number, I should say, as you may see in the memo. They were able to get down to 1.235 is what they were able to get down to. However, they provided us a couple of deducts as part of that, and the first deduct was actually a conveyor and a motorized conveyor. We'd like to hold on to that number 1 deduct because we feel we want to be able to operate these centrifuges without being there, and the conveyor allows the biosolids to be spread out across a dumpster, if you will. So it does not have to be manned at all times, and it would spread out through the dumpster. It's relatively simple. It's a $5,000 deduct. We'd like to hold on to that one. The second deduct was basically the sludge feed pumps. To try to keep the costs down, we are going to try to figure out either we do the installation, and with those, it's the VFDs, it's variable frequency drives that come with that. Our pumps are dying out. Once again, they're starting to fail. They should be pumping around 50 gallons per minute. They're pumping about 32 gallons per minute. They're starting to fail slowly. We're going to try to figure out how to do that ourselves. We may come back at some point to speak with you about that, but we'll remove that from the scope of their work here. And the last one was installation for the plant water. It is not a requirement for code, and therefore we just don't feel we need it. It's a heated building. We've never had an issue with freezing there. So we're removing that from the deduct. That got us down to basically $1.202,000. We had, if you, so I think I handed out a piece of paper that helped a little bit with the numbers that we have. Mike was kind enough to call me and say, just, would I be able to simplify the numbers for you folks a little bit so you might be able to see those as to what's been expended? And I kind of put that together last minute here, just to show you where the expenditures have gone, what we have left. And what we're looking at right now is we're looking at having about, and I apologize in the memo, the centrifuge cost was off by $800. It's actually 3 point, and I had to add that back in when I went back and looked at all the final numbers with Mike.
I wasn't questioning that.
Well, that one is, just because, I'm down to the
Yeah.
nitty gritty on these numbers, so I just want to make sure that I corrected that. So in in the spreadsheet that you see here, so we're looking at contingency right now as we stand at $113,220 is what we feel we have as contingency. The remaining project costs that we have to complete the pump stations as well as the centrifuge installation based on the pricing that we have is going to be $2.856 million. And that gives us a contingency of about 4%. The last time I was in front of you, we had $4.8 million left in the project, and we're at 2.5%. So we're doing pretty well. In other words, our contingency is not getting smaller, or staying the same. As we get further down in our projects, our contingency is getting to be a little bit a better buffer, if you will, of 113,000. So feeling pretty good. I'll probably know much better as soon as I remove rock next week or we begin to remove rock at Cape Porpoise. I'll have a much better idea on how that project's going to go financially as well. I just don't have those numbers yet. So,
Eric, I just wanted to, one of the questions I asked this afternoon was, and I want to make sure the board understands this, that alternate deduct number 2 for $17,970, and the alternate 3 of $15,000 will not impact operations.
it will not. We will still have to work out the waste feed pumps and the issues with our failing waste feed pumps, because those are not part of the installation of the centrifuges. Those are basically the pumps that feed the sludge up to the centrifuges. It's something we need to do.
So you're gonna do the labor for that. So we're saving the labor on that?
Yeah, I've brought a couple of vendors in already. I've gotten pricing for it. I need to figure that out. And if that contingency is able to get incorporated, we're able to get the pumps into the project, I just didn't want to commit those to that at this time. We may be looking at July 1 of next year. I don't know we may have to replace at least one pump before July 1 of next year.
Yeah.
Just to keep us through. I hate to say this, kind of the nature of these old plants.
Yeah.
We're just trying to keep stuff going until we get the appropriate funding in place.
Yeah.
So.
Good.
Cool.
So.
Okay.
Does this need a?
Yeah,
Have a motion.
I'll make a motion that we award the installation contract to Apex Construction for the lump sum of cost of $1,202,030.
Second.
All those in favor? All right, 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Good job, Eric. Okay, the next one is to consider the amendments to the pier parking rules. And the change that they're looking for, remember, we've had a couple of iterations of this.
Yeah.
So the change that they're looking for now is down at the bottom of the page, the second page, third page, fourth page, in blue. C, D, and E now. Pier members who are recreational boaters or solo commercial fishermen will be issued one parking permit. Pier members engaged in commercial fishing with a crew will be issued 2 parking permits. Both permits will be issued to the vessel captain, who will assign the second permit to the crew vehicle. And so that's the change. We're going back to 1 for commercial fishermen, 2 for the, 1 for the solo commercial fishermen, and 2 for the fishermen with commercial fishing with a crew, so.
The only thing I was disappointed to see that there wasn't somewhere, or maybe I missed it, the thought that those that are getting to would try at least to double park, to be able to open up space. There was one thought, the captain comes in early and the crew could slide in behind them,
I
but,
think that's an operational
That's an
issue and not
all
a
right,
rule
so that's not
issue.
something you're gonna put in the writing, all righty.
Yeah.
And just,
You're gonna enforce that though, right?
and just a quick one too. I think we had a conversation too, and it's probably not in the document, and you can tell me it doesn't need to be. Was there some discussion around every now and then for like overnights or something, there had to be a potential third one issued and the harbor master would handle that?
Right.
That doesn't have to be in this.
going
That-
to be up to the-
That's
Yep,
operational.
that's
yeah,
within-
That's kind of,
Got
That's
it.
within his administrative
Yeah.
authority.
Thanks.
Okay. Make
Uh,
I'm
motion?
going to, I'm going to recuse myself from this vote.
Yeah, I
Well,
would if
I-
I were you. Yeah, I think that's right.
yeah, I move we accept Alan's recusal, that we accept the additions to the, and modifications to the Cape Porpoise Pier Rules and Regulations.
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Aye, 5-0.
For one abstain.
401.
Oh, 401.
Yeah.
Sorry, abstain.
All right.
Yeah, we recuse.
Thank you, Frank, for being patient and waiting.
Yes, thank you, Frank.
Glad I had such valuable input.
Yeah, it was,
Okay, the next one is to authorize the purchase of the streetlight fixtures.
Good evening, everyone. So as part of our current fiscal year 24 capital budget, we budgeted $50,000 to start our streetlight replacements. We had some input from the public as well as our lighting committee, and ultimately they chose to go with the Hall of Fame fixture. So as part of this, we secured bids from 3 of the closest authorized distributors for that fixture. They were Northeast Electrical, Rexel, and Rockingham Electrical. The low bidder on these was Northeast Electrical at $36,582.95. So at this point in time, we're recommending authorizing the purchase of the light fixtures through Northeast Electrical. Certainly, that is less than the $50,000 that we budgeted, so I just wanted to expand on that a little bit, because obviously there's going to be cost to installing these
I was going to
fixtures.
say, yeah, that was my question.
Yeah, so, you know, the estimate that we got from our current contractor is going to be about $350 a fixture to install. There'll be some other ancillary items, like, you know, wire, hardware to mount them to the pole, et cetera. So we kind of wanted to see where we were going to end up with the 20 fixtures. We may be able to purchase a few more in the end if, you know, we don't get to the $50,000. So.
Because 350 times 20 is what, $7,000?
Yes, yep.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
Like to move that we accept the bid from Northeast Electric for purchase of the new LED streetlights of $36,582.95.
Second.
All those in favor? 5-0.
Thank you.
I'll make sure. Okay,
I'm here for you, wingman.
that's it. Other business, Mary Beth.
None tonight, thank you.
John,
No, thank you.
I'm all set.
all set?
I just have one thing. I would like for, and I don't know whether we can take it upon ourselves, but I have an issue with the school calendar, with the schools starting in August. We're a tourist town. We have stores where our kids work. They work summer jobs, landscaping, and when the school starts at the end of August, it really puts a damper on, well, the businesses for one, but you know, the responsibility of the kids continuing to work, or they can't continue to work. So,
I don't know who said that, RSU 21, who sets those?
I don't know. I'm
Lori, is that
assuming
you?
it's the
Would this be a
super.
state? Maybe it is a
Maybe it's-
superintendent.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean, Wells started after Labor Day.
After Labor Day?
So if they can manage their calendar, I don't know why we can't. So I'm just throwing it out there. If anybody wants to support that, let me know.
Well,
Yeah, if
I'd like
there's-
to know what the pros and cons are of it. I certainly hear the pro from your standpoint.
Yeah.
I don't know what the con might be.
I think when the last time we discussed this, I think, which was a few years ago, I don't know if Loretta was there when they did, But they did go out to the community. I remember the superintendent at the time talked to the managers about it, talked a little bit to the chamber. But there was a challenge with the vocational schools that we partner with and when they start their season, and that they were missing educational time because those schools had already started, I think was part of that conversation.
Okay.
And so recently, a business owner did talk to me about the calendar as well. And, you know, I also said that was before COVID, and the labor market is very different than it was before COVID. And so, you know, that's something that I would encourage the businesses to talk to the chamber about. And if they reached out to the three managers and the superintendent, I'm sure we'd be willing to have a meeting and talk about that.
Cool, thank you.
That's good. That's it.
Okay, I have something. Lori is going to be taking a well-deserved multiple-week break, vacation. She's guided us through COVID. She's guided us through a lot of really tough issues here in town, and she needs a break. So I'm happy to know that she's recognized and she's taking a well-deserved vacation. So in the interim period, I would like to have a motion to appoint Yanina Nicholas as the interim acting town manager for Kennebunkport.
So
So moved.
Second,
All those in favor? Well, there you go.
condolences.
And we hope that, we wish Lori.
I'm not dying or anything.
No. She's just,
not dead yet.
She has some family issues, and she's been really working hard for us for a long time. For
10 years.
She needs time off.
Amen.
And so she's gonna be back, gonna take some time after next week and be off part of next week and be off until November 6th. So, well-deserved. Okay.
So under other business, under manager, I have Chris Simeone here. And we had some new information come forward regarding a recent accident with one of our public works vehicles. And we filed an insurance claim and just in the past 24 hours got that information back from the insurance company. And so Chris wants to talk to you about his winter operations and this truck.
So about 3 weeks ago, our truck number 4, which is one of our 5-ton dump trucks, was involved in an accident on Beechwood Avenue. There was quite a bit of damage to the truck. It's kind of taken a lot over the last 3 weeks to get numbers back because it's not as simple as bringing a car to a body shop, you know, because the front fender's damaged. This actually would have to go to 3 different vendors. So it would have to go to an auto body shop for the body damage to the cabin chassis. It was going to have to go back to International for damage to the air charge cooler. And then it was going to have to go back to Viking Chavez for the damage to the plow gear and the body, the dump body on it. So it's taken a little bit of time to work all of this out. But I did just hear back today from Maine Municipal. And so.
Who is our insurance?
Who is our insurance provider. And so they came back today and let us know that the vehicle is at a total loss. So the actual cash value of the vehicle is $39,450. So the damage had exceeded that.
Wow.
You know, we
That's the price of it.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did anybody get hurt first?
No, nobody got hurt.
Okay,
Fortunately,
good.
nobody got hurt. So no, we were very lucky there. So this truck wasn't due to be rotated out for another 3 years. This is one of the trucks that we obviously rely on for winter operations. So I kind of get together with a mechanic today and tried to look at what we could do to remedy this, because even if you folks wanted to write me a check tonight for $250,000, I can't get another truck for another 9 to 12 months.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
you know, given the age of the truck, I think what makes sense to me and what I would propose is that the insurance company has offered that we can buy the truck back for $10,500. So that would leave us around $28,950. Obviously, our deductible comes out of that, which is going to be another $500, I believe. So it leaves us, you know, somewhere around just over $28,000. We looked around at sourcing used parts. So, you know, the hood of the truck sustained the most damage, and that's kind of integral to the front fender as well. We were able to find a used hood. We were able to find a used fender, used door for it. I'm confident that we can, with the money that would be left over if we bought the truck back, make those repairs ourselves. You know, we are able to source the parts that we need for the wing post, for the plow. The only question mark that we had was whether or not we would be able to fix the dump body. Without getting too much into it, this truck has an inner body that actually rotates up for winter operations to feed the conveyor, you know, for the salt. That right now is not working because the body is bent. Our mechanic is also, you know, very good at welding and fabricating. He thinks he's able to, you know, cut the bed in a few strategic locations, bend that back and re-weld it and get that working.
Wow.
So what I'm proposing is that, you know, we buy the truck back for the $10,500 and, you know, let us make those repairs in-house. Because I think at this point in time, you know, due to the age of the truck and really the need for it this winter, we'd like to get it back on the road.
I think that's a good plan.
And none of the issues that you talked about, Chris, when I was listening to the things you're gonna be repairing, nothing impacts safety of the,
No, nothing at all. So the cabin chassis, you know, the chassis itself didn't really sustain any damage, so there's no safety concerns there. A lot of it is, there is some cosmetic and functional. You know, the hood is part of the front fender, which also houses a lighting bucket, so that all has to be replaced so that we can have a headlight in the truck. The charge air cooler for the turbocharger was damaged in that. That needs to be replaced. The wing plow post, there's a slide that runs up and down in that. We're able to source that part, and we can get our hands on it as early as tomorrow. So I think that we can make all these repairs. None of them are going to be a safety concern, you know, as far as the truck goes. You know, the truck is certainly going to pass state inspection when we're done. So it's not a matter of us, you know, kind of cobbling something back together that we would be concerned with. I have all the confidence in the world in it, so.
She won't be pretty, but she'll work, huh?
Well, we'll do our best to make it as pretty as we can. We don't want an orange hood, so we'll get that painted. But
Do we need a motion on that?
You need, because it's over $8,000 that he'll be spending, he needs a motion to approve him purchasing the vehicle back and moving forward with the repairs.
I motion that we purchase the vehicle back, the damaged plow truck, for $10,500.
$500.
Second.
All those in favor? Good job. Good luck.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good luck. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris,
We
for
will get it
that.
back together.
Watch that, actually.
Thanks.
Approve the town warrant.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Good. Got it.
Did Laurie have anything more to say?
Oh.
Oh,
Nope,
Thought
I'm
that was
good.
it.
oh, good.
All right.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
It's okay. All those in favor? Yay. Time
Thank
is up.
you, everyone.
Thank you.
Recording stopped.